You ever get that gut feeling? Petty nonsense is about to backfire. Spectacularly. That was me standing in front of what used to be my mailbox. Again, shattered wood, twisted metal, and mail scattered in the ditch like confetti. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. I lived on the edge of a quiet subdivision, but quiet stopped being the word once the HOA got a new enforcer, Milton Craig. He wasn't actually law enforcement, but he liked to act the part. Reflective vest, radio clip too. His belt, even fake citations tucked in. His clipboard, the guy strutted around like a small town sheriff with way too much free time. At first, I thought the broken mailbox was a freak accident. Maybe a delivery truck clipped it, so I replaced it with a standard post and box. 2 weeks later, it happened again. Splintered post, crushed metal. That's when I started paying attention. Neighbors whispered that Milton didn't like me because I wasn't afraid to question the HOA rules. He'd made a fuss about my grass length and where I parked. My truck still targeting my mailbox. That seemed too childish, even for him. By the third time it happened, I was furious. Mailboxes are legally protected. Under U.S. Code Title 18, Section 1705, it's a federal crime to destroy one. I called the HOA president, and guess who showed up at the meeting to smirk about my flimsy construction? Milton. He even laughed and told the room if he built it right, it wouldn't fall over. That was my first real clue. Milton's old pickup had a bent bumper, paint scratched in a way that suspiciously matched the color of my mailbox. Coincidence? Maybe, but my gut told me otherwise. So I set up a wildlife camera near the road, angled perfectly at the mailbox. If Milton wanted to keep playing demolition derby with my property, I was finally going to catch him in the act. The footage came in the very next week at 6:14 a.m. when most of the neighborhood was still asleep. Milton's dented pickup rolled slowly down my street. He swerved just enough to clip the edge of my box. Wood exploded, letters flew, and he drove off like nothing happened. I nearly laughed when I saw it. The self-proclaimed HOA cop was literally committing a federal crime in broad daylight. At the next HOA meeting, I stood and calmly laid out my evidence. Here's Milton destroying my federal property, I said, holding up my phone for the board to see. Karen, the actual HOA president, shifted uncomfortably in her chair. She always defended Milton like he was her personal guard dog. Sure enough, she piped up, maybe the footage isn't clear. Could be anyone. I hit pause on the video and zoomed. Milton's vanity plate clear as day. The room went silent. He just sat there, arms folded, smug like nothing could touch him. That's when I realized the HOA wasn't going to hold him accountable. If I wanted justice, I had to get smarter. So I started researching reinforced mailboxes. According to county code, as long as the post didn't exceed 4 in diameter and was breakaway friendly, it was legal, but there was wiggle room. I got creative. Steel core posts encased in decorative brick, hollow enough to meet standards, but strong enough to stop a truck. On top, a heavy-duty locking mailbox rated indestructible by the manufacturer. Neighbors watched me work with curiosity. Upgrading? One asked. I smiled, just making sure holds this time. By the time I was finished, it looked like a normal, classy brick mailbox. Nothing out of the ordinary. But beneath the surface, it was a fortress. I didn't have to wait long. A week later, while sipping my morning coffee, I heard it. The unmistakable thud of metal slamming brick, followed by A screech of tires and a man howling in pain. I walked out slowly, coffee mug in hand. Milton's pickup was nose deep into. My new mailbox had crumpled airbags. Out! Steam rising like smoke signals. And there he was, clutching his arm and swearing. I stood there on my lawn, sipping coffee while Milton cursed, beside his wrecked truck. What the hell did you do to your mailbox? He shouted, spittle flying. I raised an eyebrow, built it to code. Can't help it if you can't drive. Karen came marching down the street in her robe, hair wild like she just rolled out of bed. This is outrageous. She barked. You set a trap for him. This is entrapment, and I'll be reporting you to the HOA for creating unsafe conditions. I almost laughed. Unsafe? He's the one who hit federal property twice. I held up my phone, already recording. The camera caught the crumpled license plate, the mailbox, standing strong, and Milton's little meltdown. Police arrived within minutes. 2 cruisers, lights flashing. One officer inspected the mailbox, then turned to me. Did you reinforce this illegally? No, sir, I said, handing him the paperwork I had printed weeks earlier. County Code 14.08 breakaway. Post. For inch diameter, compliant in every way. Mailbox was purchased directly from an approved manufacturer. I double-checked with Public Works. The officer nodded, impressed. Looks solid. Karen pounced, jabbing a finger at me. He's lying. That mailbox is a weapon. He targeted Milton. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe, because the story is only going to get better. The second officer turned to her. Ma'am, the only crime here is destruction of mailboxes, which is a federal offense under Title 18, Section 1705, and driving into it, that's on. Your friend. Milton turned pale. Wait, federal offense? Correct. The officer set up to 3 years in prison plus restitution. Karen's jaw dropped, but I just sipped my coffee, letting the silence burn. The cops cuffed Milton right there, on the street, reading him his rights, while neighbors gathered with their phones out. Karen tried protest, but nobody listened. As the tow truck dragged away Milton's busted pickup, the officer handed me a card. If the HOA gives you trouble, call me directly. You've done everything by the book. I nodded. Thanks, officer. Funny thing about trying to bully neighbors. Eventually the law bites back harder. And let's just say that morning Milton and Karen both learned what happens when karma wears a badge.